Karthikeyan. Let's start with the trailer of the movie to get a rough idea. You have to watch the movie multiple times to get the full essence of it. But we'll just try to give you some context.
Intelligence test. Where is the giant adventure in Diasporic?
Yes, speaking currently. நான் 10th படிக்கும் சென்னை ஒரு பூகம் வச்சு நான் கக்கூஸில் உட்காந்துருந்தேன். பயங்கர திகிலாக இருந்தது. சரி சார் சரி சார்.
No action, no romance, so sad. Kindly best of Cannon's life, I present to you.
We'll watch a few clips and then.
Yeah, I think Maria will probably introduce myself. Guys, such an honor to be here. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it good? Guys, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here. And so glad to see you all. Really excited. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to be watching a few clips and then ask questions to the director about those clips and then talk to him about what was going through in his mind when he wrote those. He's the writer and as well as the director of the movie. Let's watch the first clip.
தெருவில் அடிக்கடி கரண்ட் போகுது பார்க்குறாங்க சும்மா சின்ன சின்ன விஷயத்துக்கு நான் வந்துட்டு இருக்க முடியாது என்னன்னு பார்த்து முடிச்சு
ஐயா இந்த ஆளுக்கு கரண்ட் ஆ
சார் அப்படியே இல்லை சார் சும்மா ரெக்வஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம் தான் கொடுத்துருந்தேன்.
என்ன பண்ணலாம் பாருங்க. இப்போ கரண்ட் ஆட்டையா ரோட்டில் இருக்கிற மாதிரி தூக்கிட்டு வந்திருக்காங்க.
என்ன பண்ணுறோம் இங்கெல்லாம் நம்மளை மாதிரி பார்த்தா
கண்ணன் சார்
ஐடி ஃபீல்ட்லாம் பயங்கர டவுனில் போயிட்டு இருக்கு. பையனை வேறு ஏதாவது டிகிரி கொடுத்துருங்க. ஒரு 4 பேர் வீட்டுக்கு போகிறோம். 4 பேர் வீட்டு பசங்களும் ஐடி தான் படிக்கிறாங்க. அதுக்கு 3/4 பசங்க பைக்கில் சோறு விட்டுருக்காங்க. ஒன்று வேலைக்காக வீட்டில் தனியாக இருக்காங்க. எப்படி தான் விட்டுட்டு இருக்கீங்களோ ஏன்னா இப்போ அங்கே லிவிங் அது இதுன்னு போயிட்டு இருக்கு. ஸ்விஸ் பேங்க்ல இருந்து உங்கள் அக்கௌண்ட்டுக்கு. செகண்ட் ப்ராப்ளம் லோ குவாலிட்டி ஆஃப் ப்ரைஸ். பாவம் கஷ்டப்படுற குடும்பங்கள் ஃபேஸ் பண்ணுற 3வது பிரச்சனை இரவு பகலுக்கு பார்த்தாலும் ஓயாதல் ஓட்டம். இவங்க முன்னேற ஒரு தலைமுறையாச்சா அதுவும் பகல் போட்டாங்க. Where is the joy and adventure in bringing us back this way?
So when I started watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is gonna be just another middle class, milking the middle class movie because there were so many that got released that year. So I was very skeptical in the beginning. But the movie, it was wonderful in a way that it does something that the other movies do not. It portrays the joys in the lives of a common man. So let's watch another clip. Let's move on.
You can do more to humanity. Share a little. Hello. Hindi pani illa. Important.
வயசாக டீனேஜர் மாதிரி ஒரு ஃபீல்.
அதனால இந்த சயின்ஸ் ஃபிக்ஷன் தான் இருந்தது. I have written about Tamil history, politics, even investigation thriller. இதெல்லாம் எழுதிடலாம். ஆனால் மிடில் கிளாஸ் பற்றி மார்னிங் பொங்கல், மத்தியான சாம்பார், நைட் ரெண்டு இட்லி, காலேஜ் கல்யாணம். No adventure, no action.
The movie starts off with the narrator saying, "What's the fun and adventure in middle class life?" Right? But it moves on to, and then for 2 hours, it tells you this wonderful, amazing story of love, family, resilience. When I finished watching the movie for the 4th time, I went and read a review on Times of India. The critic says the story about a garbage collector is going to be about collecting garbage. So this tells you the inhumane mindset of a Savarna critic, and I understand why this movie was made. To give a bit of a context, the movie is technically brilliant. The cinematographer has made sure every frame is a picture. The editor did an amazing job editing a non-linear storytelling, and all of this was possible because of a flawless screenplay that was written by him. So I understand why we need to see the humanity behind this person, who I'm not going to reduce to just a garbage collector. But I would love to hear from the director what his reason was to direct Madras Matinee. Why choose a common man with this sort of technical powerhouse that the team was?
Yeah, Maria, I think is being really kind to us. Thank you so much. So, just a little bit of background. I have a tech company back home. That's my bread and butter. I think around 2020, we got hit by COVID, right? I had plenty of time in my hands, and that's when my mom is, actively involved in a lot of Tamil groups. She used to go to these groups to sing Tamil Varthu, and then I used to make fun of her. Like, we Tamil people believe like it's the first language, right? And it's the oldest language. I used to poke fun at it, and me being an engineering guy, I believe in data. So I really wanted to really figure out what is that first physical piece of evidence we can concretely look and say, it's at least this is the first evidence. What's the timeline? I started reading a lot about Tamil history, Sangam corpus. I'm not a poet, nor do I have the capacity to understand Tamil as it was written back then. I had to rely on English translations, and I had to rely on Tamil prose to even figure out, to understand all of that. That was like a 3-year journey for me. I had to read about, so this question of where we even came from. I had to read about the human migration pattern, then I had to read about the Indus Valley civilization, really understand the world, and, Homo sapiens as a species. That, for me, it started there. When I came across some of the Sangam poems, especially the Punanadu poems, which you can concretely say they were written 2,300 years ago because of the references to the Pandyan king Irandam Nirajay, I was blown away by how raw it was. So the old poems, right, before the Bhakti movement, which probably happened after the 5th century, probably debated the timelines, but the point is, the oldest Tamil poems had just 2 things. You had love, and you had war. And when you read the war poems, you come across like barbarians. But you read the love poems, it's the most romantic thing you might read. And I absolutely loved, and I was blown away by the range that our ancestors had back then. So I was wondering, why the hell don't we have these things as movie? Or forget movies, why the hell don't we have them as documentaries? Right? Where is our voice? You lose, if you don't remember your own history, you lose a lot of advantages. Okay? My mom can cook sambar better than she can cook pasta, but doesn't mean if she makes a bad pasta, she's a bad cook. She can make an amazing sambar. So I feel it's really important to remember your history and then bring it to mainstream media. I don't believe our kids will read those poems as they were written back then, because I didn't understand the Tamil that was that I read. So I felt it was really important for me to make this mainstream. So I decided to make one of those poems as a short film, and it won few film festivals here. And my customer from my tech company, he saw the short film and he said, "You're a part-time software and a full-time filmmaker, and probably you should go make film." So he gave me some funds. I put in the rest. I wrote a period. The first script that I wrote was a period script. This was set in the year 50 AD. That Tamil Nadu landscape that included Kerala, I am sure we have no clue what it was like. We absolutely have no bloody clue what it was like, and it will blow you guys away if you read about it. We were training with the Romans, we were training with the Greeks. I'm not sure how many of you guys know about this ancient city called Korkai, which is submerged now. I think very little excavation was done there. There are at least multiple references, even from Roman records, that says the pearls from Korkai are the best in the world. And there is a reference in the Roman Senate where we have documented evidence of one of the politicians complaining about all the coffers of Rome being emptied in south of India. So we lost all of that. Anyway, I wrote that script and my team advised me to not do it because it was big. They said as a first movie you shouldn't probably be doing it. So they said let's do something small. So I wanted to do something small, but I wanted that to have equal purpose. Because to be honest, I'm not very desperate to be a director. I've had a good life so far, and I wanted to make sure. I would say I'm in a position where I can give something back. It took me good 15 years of really working hard at my startup, and now I'm in a position where I can make something that I want. So I wanted to make sure it had some meaning to it, and then it hit me. So I grew up in a place called Imjar Nagar. It's a slum. My parents still live there. Whenever I go back home, whenever I visit my parents every weekend, I see this grocery shop owner. I've known him for good 38 years. I've known him since my birth. And whenever I go there, I look at him. His shop has not expanded even an inch. It's the same. It's been the same for 30, 35 years, right? And I was wondering, where is the joy and adventure in this life? That pretty much is this movie. I was really wondering, what is he even up to? I've had a trajectory in life, I started a company and then I'm somewhere now, but how is he even doing it? Then it hit me, that's the story of the entire Indian working class, middle class, right? You look at our people, not much money, okay? They do the same thing for good 30, 40 years and they pass away. They dump whatever they earn on the girl's wedding or the son's wedding, and then that's it. I just don't understand it. I never understood it. To be honest, when I started writing it, I actually didn't get that way, But then I met his son. My mom was a teacher and he used to come as a kid to our home for, I think, English tuition. I forgot whatever it was. I met him and then you could see, you can understand that life. All the sacrifices this guy made is seen on his son, who was, I felt this guy sacrificed himself to empower his son. And I felt that is my movie. And I'm going to tell it as true as possible without commercializing it too much. So that's how Madras matinee started.
I'm very happy to be movie. I think a lot of people would be. So one thing that really struck a chord in me was the dichotomy between Vinod and Dinesh, two characters who pretty much grew up in the same area with the same background, right? But the cogs of the society it continuously inflicts pain on people. And Vinod's father, he chooses to inflict the pain on Vinod. Yes. And Kannan, who is Dinesh's father, he chooses to take that pain and seek support from his family and get redressal for that pain. So the movie clearly shows the life trajectories of Vinod and Dinesh and how that affects Vinod and what position he is in. So can you say a few words about how?
Yeah, actually, if you read history and if you think about all of this, right? What does all of this mean? There are different ideologies. There's capitalism, there's socialism. What is the point if you don't have four people to take you to the grave? In fact, in India, I'm sure like some of you know that when someone passes away back home, we dance, we celebrate their life. And I think probably we measure someone's cloud back home by the number of people dancing for their death. I feel that's what I feel. That's what I infer. So, if you think about all of this, right, I think love is the only constant truth. There's pretty much nothing else. The ideologies differ. For someone, Jesus is God. For someone, Muruga is God. Someone, Shiva is God. That all varies. But the only thing that is common, I think the only thing that could rescue all of us from all the evil is love. There's no other option. If you take my journey as an example, I'm just speaking from what I've experienced. I would like to stick to that only. Is that I am a very, very average person. Okay, and trust me, I'm not being humble. In school, I never managed to get more than 65%. I'm not even kidding. And I never managed. I think I started failing when I was in 6th standard. I just couldn't understand algebra, what the hell it was, and I was very bad at school. The only thing that made me think about myself and then put in a little bit more work was my parents, because I couldn't bear to see them being yelled at by money lenders. I remember we couldn't pay back the house EMI, so they stuck a poster on our house, and I remember being deeply affected by it. And I used to think, had my dad been violent and had he been a prick, probably I wouldn't care so much. But then till now, they have trusted me with pretty much everything that I do, and I feel it brings me back home, and it gives me a sense of purpose, and I want to make sure I never fail them. So here you have a very average person. That the only thing that rescued me is love from my parents.
Talking about love and family, the movie touches on so many things, right? So another thing is how the parents are affected by it, or how they handle those stresses. We'll see a small one.
சாப்பிட்டேன் இது பாப்பா கொண்டு கட் பண்ணிட்டு நீ பேசுனியா?
இல்லைங்க, அது வேடிச்சுட்டு ஃபோன் பண்ணேன். அது பையன் பார்க்க போகிற டைம் ஃபோன் பண்ணால் டென்ஷன் ஆகும். அதான் பண்ணுங்க.
பிள்ளைங்க தனியாக இருந்து கஷ்டப்படுது. நம்மளாம் உட்காந்து குத்து ஓடிட்டு நம்மளுக்கு கூட போய் தரலாமா?
முதல் வாட்டி தானுங்க பார்க்குறேன். பிடிச்சிருந்தா உடனே நம்ம கிளம்ப போக வேண்டியதான்.
Deepika கொடுத்துட்டோமா? நீ தனியாக ஓடி சம்பாதிக்குது. ஐயோ பார்க்கறது கூட தனியாக தான் போகுது. வரப்போகிற பையன் உங்கள் பிள்ளைய நல்லா பார்த்துட்டா சரி. என்ன பயமாக
தீபு மேலே தெரிஞ்சவங்க நல்ல பையனை பார்த்து தான் செலக்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க.
சரி வைக்கிறேன்.
So you wanted to touch upon the parents being empowering in their empowering women and their daughters, right?
I feel after the scene, what happens is, I think basically she lives in Bangalore and then she's on her way to look out for a groom. The guy likes her, but then the guy is surrounded by his mom and aunt, and then I think they bring up her skin color and they bring up the caste. But in this movie, I think if you watch the scene, none of that would actually affect her because that girl is empowered. She knows that she's too intelligent for all this crap, and so I feel even I was observing what's happening here in the US back to home, and generally the stupidest stuff gets all the highlights, right? All the goodness and water, all the things that are stable are completely boring, and it doesn't get the highlights that it deserves. Media is not going to show that; it's going to show you only the extreme stuff. So, I think the only thing to overcome all this noise is to be probably intelligent. I mean, when I say intelligent, is to probably understand history of what this all meant 1,000 years ago. What all this meant 500 years. It's been the same. It's just cycle and cycle and cycle. So, I would say the more you read, the more you understand the world. The more you understand the world, you can easily identify what is stupid, and it probably wouldn't bother you. You will still be focused on what is important. So. This character is like that, and in fact, she goes back home and tells the dad that Appa, they spoke about your caste in a bad manner. He wouldn't give a shit actually. I'm sorry to use the word, but all he's worried about is whether the daughter loves him still or not. That's the only thing he would worry about. To him, it's irrelevant. So all the characters, especially this girl character in this film, is empowered. She comes from a very humble background. She does well in her career, and then she gets a youth visa to come here. So yeah, I feel that's the only way to tackle all this.
Talking about empowerment, we have the father also undergoing a journey of empowerment and learning something new in his probably 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you guys some context. So basically, what happens is the dad. The first half of the movie, we see the family being a very loving nuclear family, and the kids adore the dad. But then, as they age, right, the dad notices a gap between him and the daughter and the son. So he, in order to get her married, he would like to give her at least 5 lakhs for the wedding. So he's an auto driver, and there is no way for him to, even if he gets a loan, there's no way for him to repay it. So he tries to upgrade himself. And then for the first time in his life, he tries to learn something new, and I think that's what this scene is.
கீழே நாயா வந்துட்டு சார் நீ வண்டி எடுத்துட்டு
வாழ்க்கை ஃபுல்லா இப்படி தப்பா கைடு பண்ண கூட யாரும் கருத்து இல்லை.
என்னையா வண்டி எப்படி விட்டியா?
இல்லை சார், டவுட்டு
அதெல்லாம் உனக்கு ஏன் வருது?
சார். இந்த வண்டியோட முனை எதிரில் வருதுன்னு தெரிய மாட்டேங்குது சார்.
எந்திரிச்சு நின்று பாரு, தெரியும்.
Yeah, so the movie is just full of these very emotional moments where I'm in tears, and then it seamlessly integrates with comedy, where I realize that my laugh sounds different when I'm in tears. Yeah, so in the interest of time, can we quickly touch upon the character of Deepika? I think it's one of the most well-written characters of women. Even the directors that I love often fail to write have a multi-layered writing for a woman. So Deepika goes through loss, she faces colorism and then casteism and so much more. Understands financial situation of the family. I think a lot of the elder children would relate to her experiences.
Yeah. I think first ones are always battle ready. I always felt that way. So basically, I see this all the time in my own company. I've got a lot of girls coming from these small towns and villages to Chennai, and they live alone in hostels, away from their family, and then send back home all the money so they change the delta between their parents' life and the next generation of these girls. It's massive. Like if they were living in huts, after these girls come to the city and they start working, in like good 5-6 years they construct their first concrete house, in cement. And it's a very, very common story. The amazing thing to see is now, as you can see in the film, she goes alone to search for the group. She doesn't need, the guy actually comes with, like I said, with the mom in the hand, but the girl goes alone. So we see this increasingly all around us, and I wanted to put that on screen. It was not going to be a boy, but it was going to be this girl. I see these girls all the time around.
Thank you so much, Mr. Karthikeyan, for engaging with us on this discussion. I would love to go on and on, but due to the interest of time, if you have any concluding remarks, we can go, please.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
For the time, I think I have asked pretty much everything.
I think, please, I hope you all watch the film. That's my concluding remark.
How do we do that?
So it's on Sunday.
Let's do
Yeah, let's do a AKSC Madras matinee screening. And it's also on the OTT platforms that you mentioned previously.
In the interest of time, because we are rapid, collect all the questions, then we get some of it.
Yes.
So that people
Yeah.
so people know which questions it is. And please note it down.
Okay.
I'll bring a mic.
No, that's okay. Short question.
No, tell your name. Why is it tell your name? Yeah.
Okay. Dandapani, to put it in context with the movie, first graduate from my family, moved to the US. The delta is definitely so large. So, taking that into consideration and looking at the movie as a movie.
Why did you have this as a narrative style? Because what I genuinely felt is all your frames are so expressive with excellent actors like this. Probably the narration could have been avoided, but the choice for narration is also excellent. If not Satyaraj, I don't know who else would have made that a complex thing, right? But why narration in first place?
Okay, so the deal. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so the deal is.
We're just going to do a few questions and then we'll let you out.
No, you first, please. Go, we have a mic there. We have a mic there.
Hi, Vivek. Really looking forward to seeing the movie. You talked a little bit about your inspiration for starting to make films, but what was your research process like for bringing together these stories? Where did they come from as you were writing the script?
Meenakshi Shetty. I really loved what I saw. I live in Bombay, so I'm used to a whole lot of very, very mainstream, very regressive shit. And of course, there's very powerful things on the margins as well. Are you able to see a kind of an incremental audience that appreciates what you're trying to say in the film, other than the craftsmanship and all that being, assumed, taken for granted? But I don't know, I'm sitting in Bombay, a little bit see the works of, say, Ranjit or Benjamin or whoever. Is there an audience that is growing for the kind of values you're talking about? Or is that somehow hijacked by politics? I don't know enough about that. But is that kind of growing? Basically, that's my question. Because that makes it viable is what I'm seeing. Yeah?
So my question to you is, as an American my husband's Indian, but I love films like this. It's a glimpse into a life that is so interesting and so rich, and I think for people who are watching this film, because you've been on a long journey through your life to get to this point to which you can make a film, if there is one lesson that you would like people to take from this film, what is your main message that you want to transmit to your audience through this film?
Okay. And one last question, anybody? Oh, wait there.
This is getting too big.
Being a first graduate from a small town, this movie resonated with me a lot. I watched with a lot of tears, right? So you should definitely keep doing such a kind of movies. So it's amazing. And silly question maybe, why did you kill Brownie in the movie? And you could have shared both your mom and Brownie. So that was very touching. And
can I go? Okay, I'm trying to keep it short. So, why the narrator? See, I felt the narrator was the most natural choice for this film. See, if you take a family, right, there is this internal perspective. We saw that in Down My Town. We saw it through the family, right? We saw it through the dad. But then this movie is not about the internal perspective per se. It's about the external perspective on such life. It starts with the question that I had: what is this life? Why even live this? That's the first reason. The other reason is, we are all constantly being misled by mainstream narrative. That happens all the time. That narrator is actually misleading you. If you probably rewatch the movie, he wouldn't say anything that the actor has already communicated. I can bet that, because I was very clear. That was one of the thumb rules that I had. He's not going to say what the actor is telling you through his performance. He's going to give his opinion on it. So you can almost imagine it like a Animal Planet commentary on the middle class life. That was, in fact, the screenplay was a bit more extreme. I don't think it would have worked for India. It had a little bit more, I would say, what is the right word? More sarcasm, but I had to tone it down and to bring it to have that emotional attachment with the audience. So I felt it was very natural. I can't think of this movie without the narrator. In fact, the very last line that says, despite knowing he won't move up in life, he ran every day for his children. Do you know why? Because he wanted to make sure the other generation had a decent shot at a better life. That one line alone is an external perspective. I can't imagine the dad thinking and saying, why I ran. We don't do that, right? We don't reflect on our own life. So you need someone else to reflect for you. For me, it was a very obvious choice. What was the second question? I already forgot. Research. So, I think now I've written 2 screenplays, full screenplays. I kind of have a pattern. going back to the period, right? I never touched writing the screenplay for like good 3 years. I'm not saying you need 3 years to research. I think probably the third one for me took not more than like 3 weeks to research. But anyway, the point is I now know what my process is. The process is this. I read as much as I can on the central. So I begin with a purpose. Why should this even exist? Why should even people see this, right? Why? I feel it should be like the movie should have the same purpose of a book. You know, there should be a reason for it to exist. We don't collect random pages from books and put together and then publish it, right? But in movies we do that all the time. Random stuff here and there. Someone wants to produce it, someone wants to direct it, someone wants to, you know, we do it. In books you don't do that. In books you really have to say something meaningful. So I first start with that. The movie should have a purpose. And then I try to understand the world around it. For example, for the period script, I read Roman references. I had to read, like I said, the human migration pattern, the Indus Valley. I had to know a little bit about the Sangam Karpas. Then I understand the stakeholders. I can precisely tell you what the society was like anywhere between 100 AD to probably 100 BC.
So for this one, which is
So then I realized that's the same way for this also. The good thing is I don't have to do so much extensive research because I grew up in such a place. So I knew these characters all my life, so I had to just skip the research phase, start writing this character. But you need to understand the stakeholders in any given framework, and then things unfold very easy. That's sort of the process.
Yeah, next one is from Meenakshi about audience going for this kind of
Ma'am,
movies.
I'm really not sure, whether it's getting good or bad, because one thing's for sure, I think people aren't going to theaters anymore. We all are having increasingly busy lives. So the OTT numbers, I think it's going to take another 6 months for me to know, where we even stand. So the thing is, unfortunately, people aren't going to the theater. Cinema isn't the same anymore, and it is being reduced to TV movie. OTT, in my opinion, is TV movie. It's not cinema, if you ask me. So I'm not sure whether we're doing great or not. Actually, I'm still trying to figure that out. I feel, I have thought about this a lot. I feel good art is never commercially viable. It depends on charity. I've always wondered who gave Beethoven money to compose the Ninth Symphony. I've wondered about it. I'm sure he never made any money to that. But some wealthy king, he had so much money, he probably threw it at a composer. I feel I'm just trying to find such people. So.
Next one was what's the lesson from the movie that you want?
I think that actually I didn't, to be honest, right, I didn't write it to somehow fetch a lesson out of this. I just wanted to document our culture, who we are as a people. I think that was the only intention. But I think through the process, I myself became I was very close to my parents already. It's like I visit them once every week. But then after the screenplay, right, I had to visit them like 2 or 3 times a week. So if at all this movie did anything to me, I feel it made me closer to my parents, and also it made me cherish really small things. So the last dinner scene where the narrator says this is the last dinner they're having as a family. You never know. So I think you need to look really close at the really small things. It's not always about the big stuff. I think it just made me look at the really small things. Yeah.
And the last one was why did you eat brownie?
Someone had to die, and
well, just for context, brownie was the dog.
Yeah. Brownie, I felt Brownie deserved a statue at the end. So.
Yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Director. It was so wonderful having you share with us. Here's a small token of appreciation from us.
guys. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
A huge round of applause for today.